personality. Well, while I'm sleeping, then she comes creeping. She's my sunny girlfriend, and she just doesn't care. Yeah, she's my sunny girlfriend, she doesn't really care.
That was The Great Jet Plane Happening, the lead-off track to the 1969 Fudgies release, The Great Jet Plane Happening. And with me here today, I have a fantastic guest who's an expert on the Fudgies. She wrote 3 books on them. The first one, the definitive book on their early years of the OSR and their origins. It's Blue-Eyed Soul, Bubblegum Blues. She also wrote a book that we'll be talking about a lot tonight because of the time period, and that is Rock Stars and the Rise of Randy. And her third book, which I've read as well, is called Jeremiah Was a Bullfrog. Anna Stevens, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
What was your favorite Fudgie album? I ask all my guests that.
Electric Prune, I think, because it was after their first one, so they were kind of still in the new phases, but getting a little bit more in their skin and more psychedelic.
Their sound starts to change in '69, and it's a gateway to their 70s sound that you get in the next couple albums, like Run and Broken Arrow first, and then Run, and New Mother Nature. Your background with rock journalism is you worked for Spin Magazine for a while.
5 years, yeah, and then VH1 Classic for 3 years.
What did you do at VH1 Classics?
I looked at like the headlines and like I would pass them and make sure like they were cool.
Oh, so you worked for like VH1 News?
Yeah.
As far as like music news?
Yeah, I was always in like news and magazines, and then I went on to books.
Yeah. Are the Fudgies the only band that you consider yourself a specialist enough to be able to write books on, or have you written books on other rock groups?
I wrote one book about the Turtles, but that's about it.
This album, The Great Jet Plane Happening, it's the 50-year anniversary of the release of that album. A couple really important things happen on this album, and I'm going to let you go ahead and talk about it because you do talk about it so well in your book. And this period, which...
Rock Stars and the Rise of Randy.
Right. Referring to Randy, California, I assume, right? And what does the rock stars in that title mean? Well,
they were rock stars, but it's also referring to their friends, and they got produced by so many different rock stars and like so many different friends of Maxwell Fudgy that like after a certain point they were doing that so much that one of the members of the group just kind of like had to step away, and it was like, wait, is this even our band anymore?
What was the Fudgies' first record on Columbia?
Sometimes Good Guys Don't Wear White. And so that is where the string of rock star friends started? Producers, yeah.
And that producer was?
Yeah, that started with Chaz Chandler from The Animals.
Okay. And then who produced, okay, so this one was produced by...
Yeah, this one was produced by Roger McGuinn from The Byrds.
Okay, so that's two high-profile people, and yes, friends of Max. But weren't they friends of the other members, too? It's just, it must have just got too chummy. It must have not had an atmosphere of, like, professionalism or something. Maybe there was too much goofing off going on or partying or whatever. And then, so then the third album in that sort of trilogy, the third album on
Columbia, the last album.
Right, would be Broken Arrow.
Yeah.
Picture Frame, and that was produced by...
Yeah, Broken Arrow, Picture Frame was produced by Neil Young, and that was kind of the end of
So there you go. Three high-profile producers in a row, and Scooter... Do you think when he left... Now, this is a question that would be hard to answer unless you had interviewed him, but I know you did interview the Fudgies several times during your career.
Yeah.
Did he know he was going to come back? Did he just need a breather? Did he just need to break away and do Jesus Christ Superstar on Broadway? Something different after 4 straight years of the Fudgies?
I feel like he kind of knew. He didn't know how long the break was going to be, but they're family. Like, it wasn't too hard of feelings.
Right. What is notable and really important about this album, The Great Jet Plane Happening?
The engineer that they were working with for a while, Ed Cobb, left, and so they had a new engineer, Bill Inglot, come in.
Okay, now I've seen that name, Bill Inglot. I've seen it on Byrds Records, and then later on the Eagles and Doobie Brothers. So he was just starting in the business and then ended up working with all those great groups, or he had been a engineer for a while?
He'd been an engineer for a little bit.
Oh, okay. Was he with Columbia, and that's why they ended up with him?
Yeah. So, like, this album is really the rise and the climax. Well, not the climax, but, like, the beginning of Randy, California really showing up a lot.
And that's something I could never really understand, being a fan and starting to become aware of the group at around this time. This was the same time in '69 when they, OSR, their former label, released Meet the Fudgies, which was one of the first albums I ever bought and of the Fudgies, and this one as well. And I would see M. Fudgy listed for Max Fudgy. Maxwell Fudgy is writer and singer and stuff on the first 3 records. And then I'd see this R. California. What's that all about?
Well, that's Randy, California.
Why did Max decide to change his name?
So, the Fudgy name, like, if you were to put it under Maxwell Fudgy, that, like, yes, the contributions of the writing to the song go to him, but they also go to the members of the group. And under that name, it goes to the members of the group and OSR and Brian Ross and
wow. I did not know that.
Yeah. So it, like, it's not like a direct thing. It's like a community thing because they were under that label.
And because Brian Ross was the one that helped them create the Fudgies, he would get a piece of any kind of...
Yeah. Fudgy name.
Wow.
Like the brand, the label.
But then why didn't they just change their name then?
So after they had the Fudgies, like, that was the band, they had a fan base, they'd done, like, 4 records.
Right.
They didn't want to, like, change their name.
Yeah, I guess that would be really confusing.
Right, yeah, because he didn't, like, want everybody to know, kind of. Like, he wasn't trying to keep it a secret, but he wasn't also trying to, like, be...
Promote it.
Yeah.
The band obviously knew.
Yeah.
And they so they just accepted that it was for financial reasons.
Yeah.
And so there'd be a better deal on residuals.
Mm-hmm.
And I suppose even though it was kind of to make sure that he would get more residuals if he was writing the songs, they kind of agreed with maybe cutting ties with
Brian
sending
Ross.
any money to Brian Ross. Yeah, exactly. Wow. Okay. Well, we'll talk more about that after this. We're going to get into some of the songs now. So we're going to do a couple songs that are on the actual release. And so we're going to play a few tracks off the album. I'm going to skip the first two tracks because there's nothing really different about them or special. But when we get to You Better Run, now there's two versions of this song. And it's kind of confusing because the song did appear a year before this in the Optical Sound soundtrack.
They do this thing where they do songs specifically for movie soundtracks.
Okay, yeah, true, yeah.
So they did, and plus it was their movie.
Yeah,
so they did
Optical Sound.
Yeah, so they did Optical Sound, that release for Optical Sound specifically. And then the other one, even though it is kind of there in the movie, that was just kind of, they wanted it on the album instead of being prominently in the movie. So they're two different separate
Do you have any opinions on maybe why they did two versions of the song?
I guess because they really liked the song and they just kind of wanted to try something a little bit different. They liked the song. I happen to know that they liked that song a lot because they didn't even, so they recorded it, they made it, and then they did, a year later, then they did the rock and roll version for the album.
Yeah, the one I'm about to play.
Yeah, and then even later, Penny did another version of it.
Oh, you're right. That's, you know what? I just realized that's the same damn song. She does "You Better Run" in Roadies.
Uh-huh.
And that was released as a single, and it was huge. Yeah, so it's wild, but this is a great tune, and we're going to play it now. This is "You Better Run" as it appeared on the 1969 version. It's off the 50th anniversary of the Great Jet Plane Happening.
What you trying to do to my heart? What you trying to do to my heart? You go around telling lies, you fool around with the other guys. What you trying to do to my heart? You better run, you better hide, you better leave from my side. What you trying to do to my soul? What you trying to do to my soul? Everything I had was yours, and now I'm closing all the doors. What you trying to do to my soul? You better run, baby, hide, baby, from my side. I love you, girl, I love you so. Can't you see it, don't you know? I can't stand your alibis, you telling lies, it drive me wild. Mercy, and I can't stand anymore. Oh, what are you trying to do to my head? What you trying to do to my head? Now I got to draw that line. You're not gonna take my mind. What are you trying to do to my head? You better